All right, hello. And thanks for checking out a bit of what was that? Did you just hear that tiny little burp? I love when you go to speak and then a little air pocket appears. Like, you probably didn't hear it. You probably didn't. Burp. Anyway, thanks for spending some time with What Was That Radio and myself, John, as we have a conversation with Pinkshift and all three of the band members. And it's such a delight to finally get to speak to them. Since their debut came out a couple of years ago, I have just been so galvanized by their flipping creations. And Love Me Forever, their debut album, is out end of October, in just a few weeks from now, as I record this intro and initially put this video online on the 5th of October, 2022. And let's just dive into getting to know these three, how they came to be, the process of the record, and everything else that you thought maybe we didn't need to find out, but we did because of conversation that was flipping effortless and awesome. Way! All right, okay. I don't know why, I don't know, I just didn't have any glasses on for this intro. Why not? I just got back from a motorbike ride and I'm feeling really grounded and blissed out right now. Sometimes after conversations, I get so worked up and so happy and so just floaty. I've got to do something to make sure we just bring it back down to earth. All right, here's a conversation with Pinkshift. Oh, what are you eating? What's that? Cereal?
God, I'm so sorry.
Okay, first things first, I'm going to interrupt you. No apologies needed for being you. No apologies needed for gaining sustenance in food, because it is what we need to do to exist. So food and eating and apologies, unnecessary apology, but thank you. I appreciate that.
It's just that some people hate like eating ASMR, you know?
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'm eating this Caesar chicken. It's a Greek salad with some chicken in it.
Marvelous. Yeah, and for now, we've got the camera off for you because you're also probably, if you're not into ASMR, you don't want people to see you consuming the food as well.
Yeah, it looks horrible when I eat.
Okay. I mean, that's a you thing, but I'm sure it's fine. But what, you turn the camera on when you're all good in 5 minutes or so?
Oh, yeah. I'll be all good.
Awesome. Ashrita, good afternoon to you as well. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So you're all in different parts of Baltimore right now, or where are you?
I'm in Baltimore, but the two of them are at home.
I'm an hour from Baltimore. I'm in Rockville. It's a neighborhood or city in Maryland.
Okay, lovely.
I'm currently staying with my folks in New York.
Marvelous. Okay. All right. Well, the first thing I wanted to let you know is a little bit of context about me, which is that, and I think it's imperative because sometimes when you get the chance to speak with people like yourselves, there's a presumption that you're going to answer my questions not knowing who the fuck I am. So the context about me is that my name is John. I'm John Williams. I worked in commercial modern rock broadcasting for 10 years until the pandemic hit, and I chose to leave to push my passions to their utmost. And I started my own modern rock station that is truly modern rock, nothing older than 2017, over 5,000 bands and songs that since 2020 alone, 90% of the playlist is made up from. And I also split all my earnings 50-50 to look after the mental health and passions of those who support me in my community, and also to give out grants and support independent bands around the world that galvanize my soul as well. That is the long story short. And I've certainly found that the last couple of years have been an almighty test of myself in my mid-30s. But I'm really proud of the growth that I've gone through by forcing myself basically to have to learn a bunch of skill set that maybe I wasn't allowed to or trusted to in prior situations. And so I'm broadcasting and I'm in I'm in our home, like my partner and her son let me move in here 3 years ago this Christmas. But this is the radio station. It's the living room, surrounded by Halloween decorations right now because Halloween is like Christmas to Jody and Harley, Jody being my partner and Harley, her 8-year-old son. And that's really the context around me. And so I thought the first thing that we'll dive into would be, is there excitement? The camera's on. Here we go. The Caesar, the Greek Caesar is down the hatch. We're good to go. So with Halloween coming up, is there any thought into Halloween? Is this something that excites you guys? Is it just meh? Or have you got plans already, damn well what you're going to do for it?
I think we're going to be on tour on Halloween. I think we are not going to be playing a show, but we will be around Seattle because I think we're playing Seattle on the 30th. I know we're playing Kilby Court on the 30th. We're playing Salt Lake City on the 30th. So we'll be in between Salt Lake City and Seattle.
You're muted, Myron.
What?
I think you're muted if you're saying something.
Am I muted? Wait, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Now
Yeah.
you're not muted.
Okay, I was never muted. I don't know what happened.
Were you going
yeah.
were you going to say something, Myron, or?
No, I was just, like we're going to be driving probably.
No, I want to get to Seattle by at least like the end of the 31st. So maybe that night we can go out in Seattle. I think that'd be fun.
This, yes. Oh
Has
my God, wait. Yeah.
Have you been into Halloween before? Because for me, growing up in England, it wasn't really a thing until I feel like in my teenage years, people thought, "Oh, we can make some serious fucking money out of this," and then it became more of a thing. And I think we were influenced heavily by Americans. But is it something that you've been into before until this point?
I
Yeah.
always went trick or treating like every year. I think
I
it
did
was
too.
one of the only like I don't know major American holidays that I gave a shit about.
Yeah, I really liked dressing up. I remember like my first three costumes when I was like before kindergarten. I was like a Dalmatian, and then I was like Spider-Man, and then I was Peter Pan, and it was I don't know. It's
You were
fun.
Peter Pan? That's actually so good.
That's
Loved
cool.
it. I was obsessed with Peter Pan.
Peter Pan wailing away to My Chemical Romance. That's the spirit. That's how we do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Halloween aside, Ashrita, what do you dream about when you sleep through them sequencing drums?
What? Oh, yeah. That's funny. I don't know if I dream necessarily. I just get knocked out because every time it happens, I wake up and like they're like, we're done. And I was like, whoa, time just like went by. That's crazy. And I just wasn't conscious. And I thought I was conscious, but I wasn't. I just knock out. Sorry to disappoint.
No, that's okay. Myron, do you ever consider making a sort of flyer campaign seeking a singer of a band that wouldn't fall asleep whilst you sequent drums? Or do you think she'd just ignore the flyers and just be, fuck it, I don't want to join this situation?
No, I honestly think it's I kind of like that they just fall asleep because it's like
You don't want me to be involved.
no, it just like gives like a funny situation for like the thing to be happening because like if it's just like we're all just there, then it's kind of just like okay, but like if it's like me and Paul like trying to MIDI stuff out and then we just look back and you're falling asleep, like you're just like not awake and we're just
It's like
and
it's like you know how like sometimes when like in a room there's like a really nice vibe, you have like your like little pets just like on the foot of the bed, just like
No,
sleeping.
stop.
yeah, it's like that.
You got that like nice vibe. It's like your presence is there and it's nice, but like also it's like you're just calm. You're like chilling.
Yeah, you just yeah,
Not
like
bothering anybody.
like a cat asleep at the foot of your bed.
Yeah, and usually for interviews, Cat, my cat, I've just called him Cat. I'm inspired by the overuse of Cat. I think I've got a rim shot for that. But Theo usually is right on the desk with me here, but he's underneath this yellow. He's taken to this yellow chair that you probably can't see in the back of the room here. He likes to be under things around this time of day. And he trusts me complicitly, much like they do you, Ashrita, right? I think, no, wait, you trust them implicitly to create great beats. So why do I need to be? I'll be here, support you. Again, like Paul was saying, I'm a supportive energy in that rocking in and around the room, but I'm not going to hustle you too much. I know you got this. That's the vibe that Pinkshift seem to go about, it appears.
No, totally. That's it. I know that my being awake and contributing to the drums will not make them better. So I'm just excited always for what they've come up with.
And Paul, when you're first approaching that jam room door and you're thinking, there's a guy on the other side of this that I need to try and persuade to drum in our band. Did you even know that guy at that point, or were you just inspired by the My Chemical Romance vibrating out and through the corridor?
Oh man. I think I definitely wasn't thinking, man, I have to persuade this man. Ashrita and I were like, we're scared to approach this person.
We're like, this is our last shot.
this
There's
is
nobody.
literally our one and only, like, it's like oasis in like this
We didn't
desert.
know him. We had never seen Myron before.
And Myron was like concentrating really hard, and so he was like so just like, oh man, I don't want to agitate.
And like Paul and I were like pushing each other, like, no, you open the, no, you knock on the door. No, you knock on the door. No, like blah blah blah, whatever. We were like arguing about it. I remember that. We're like, I'm not gonna knock on the door. Like, what do I even say? Yeah.
Could you sense that energy on the other side, Myron, or are you just so locked in that it didn't even hit you until they opened the door?
I think I was just like focusing because I was like, it took a lot more mental effort at the time because I was still like really early in like learning how to play drums at that point. So I was like probably not aware of what was going on at all.
Myron dials in general though, like we'll be in the van and like we'll be like screaming his name and he doesn't hear us.
That's like me mentally shutting down. I'm just like,
Yeah.
when I'm in the van, I'm just like asleep or like in a state of stasis.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Of
no, like
stasis.
I mean, like I'm like honored that they asked me because I was like still not, I wasn't confident in like my ability at all.
Pretty good though.
It's wait, what?
It was
You
pretty
said
good.
you were pretty good.
It's pretty good. Like it was to the point where like other people were like, "Oh shit, that's Helena."
You knew.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's actually that's great. But yeah, it's funny because like I wouldn't have been there like in that practice room at that time at that day if like because I was supposed to hang out with my friend that night. I was supposed to hang out with my friend and we were like had plans and like we are gonna do whatever. And then she was like, wait, like my boyfriend's mad at me and I have to like talk to him and like they had to like have a conversation. I'm just like, all right, fuck you. So I just went to the drum room instead.
Damn, we gotta thank your friend's boyfriend.
I've literally told her. I was like, hey, you're the reason.
We probably would have caught you there eventually because we were desperate. Like
Eventually.
we were desperate. We were just sitting in fucking Matin Center like all day, every day for months. Months.
So
It's pretty helpful when you're in a state of desperacy, if that's such a word, and I don't know if I just made that up or not, that you can come across someone. And Myron, like you channel every ounce of your being into every hit. You are an incredible drummer. The three of you together are electric. But I mean, I drum as well, and one of the reasons why, and this is not me saying, I'm not giving you my seal of approval. That can be thrown out the window. It didn't need to exist here. But that's partly why I was inspired to start What Was That Radio as well, because the band that I was in, sadly, had to break up a few years back due to mental illness. And I'm thankful that one of my dear friends and the guitar player is still with us. But I was just yearning for that day to day, not knowing what the fuck it's going to bring, which is your passion being thrown towards people that are going to be vibrated by it, might get into it, might support you. You have no idea. And so I wanted that challenge at this point in my career to not just clock in and clock out where I knew I was safe in the radio station, in the commercial scene, and try and really, truly break away and push my passions to their utmost. But to go back to you, Myron, I mean, what was, if you're sort of suggesting that you were new to drumming at this point, and yet you're cranking out Helena like you've been playing it for 5 years from how Paul and Ashrita speak to it. So what was your process of going about drumming? Because for me, it was saving up for an electric kit, plugging in the iPod, and playing to every fucking thing I could that inspired me growing up.
Yeah. So like I started because so the school that we went to, it had like a drum practice room that I discovered, and I was like, oh snap. And I was like, oh, I just need to like buy my own sticks, and then I can just go in and practice whenever I want. And so I just kind of like started going in there and playing to 21 Pilot songs. I remember I would like also a lot of like YouTube tutorials. Like there's this one Australian dude on YouTube that does like drum tutorials for like a lot of like popular rock songs. And I was learning like Paramore songs and 21 Pilot songs. I remember the first song I ever learned, like the first groove I ever learned was like the groove for like Heathens by 21 Pilots. That was like one of the first ones because they're just like super simple. And then like from there, it was just a matter. I also like I did an internship the summer before and like used the money from that to pay for an electric kit. And that's when I started practicing like regularly at home. And from there, it was just like going on YouTube and like kind of like learning backwards in the sense like for example with Helena I would like want to play it and then I'm like oh I can't do like double strokes on the kick drum and then I like Google how to do double strokes on the kick drum or like my like single stroke rolls were like ASP and there's a lot of those in like MCR songs and I was like all right how do I get my singles better. It was like piece technique parts from the songs that I wanted to learn and then go back and like focus on that a little bit and then go back to those songs and like try to play them better. And I think that was important for me because if I had like taken normal like classes, I feel like I wouldn't have kept like motivation. You know, I would have rather like struggled and played these songs shittily, but like enjoyed myself and then like actually care about technique because I was self motivated into wanting to play these songs better anyway. So that's kind of how that came about.
Yeah, that speaks to me in a sense of like when I yearned to have body art for years, and I went to 30, 40, 50 tattoo artists till I felt comfortable for them to do their thing in correlation with what I had designed or had in mind. And so I'm a big believer in authenticity, in the sense that the individual, we're all unique and completely different. Every single person is. They can bring something different to the table we can learn and grow from. But I find, certainly in my career, to speak to me in radio, lots of people try and train me in, oh, you remind me of this guy from 20 years ago. You remind me of this guy from 10 years ago. You remind me of this guy. And I would always sit there in those meetings and say, but I'm just me. I mean, it's great that I inspire that thought in you, but I believe that if I'm going to, it might put a few noses out of joint. Like with you, I'm going to do my own drumming style. Like you're saying that might not work, but for me, it's what makes me special. Like it's those little things and nuances that can really stand out. And just to check in, because do you have another conversation after this, or is it? No? Okay.
No.
Because I'm already sensing that this might go 5 minutes longer, and I don't want to ruin anyone else's day. But Paul,
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, we talk a lot.
so I got verbal diarrhea, Ashrita, so I can go on for as long, and especially when I've been trying to pick you three's brains for the last 2 years. So I'm so thankful to Lutus Radar and Natasha and Sarah that are incredible at what they do, and I'm so thankful to you three, all of you, for agreeing to be here. It's wonderful, so it's really appreciated. But Paul, when you've heard Ashrita singing Britney Spears, side note, my cousins in Canada, because I moved here 13 years ago, and so on my grandma's side of things, there was like 8 or 9 kids in every family. It's ridiculous. But I would get sent CDs from my cousins here on the island of the big time Americans that are going to come and take over the UK. And when I was like 10, 11 years old, I got sent a Britney Spears CD, the debut album, which hadn't sort of come out in England yet. And so that's my memory of Britney and being like, wow, this is really fucking good, because I was all over pop music and grunge growing up. And certainly like the classics of what my parents showed me, you know, from ABBA to Neil Diamond, and obviously Queen and Pink Floyd and all that, the Beatles, massive, massive. Every birthday I would get a Beatles album from my grandparents, sort of suggesting this is what quality is and you should be into this. But Paul, when you first heard that Britney Spears situation, was it in your mind at that time that you were looking to try and put together a band, or was it that Ashrita, they were just so good that you were like, I need to make something with this person?
It was so I actually heard Ashrita the first time I heard them sing. I think they're saying like a Disney song.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
even
singing a Disney
better.
song.
Okay.
I think I was singing like The Little Mermaid or something.
Yeah,
Like part of your world.
Our school has like had like a student run organization where you could like sign up, and like there were like little talent shows. You could be paired with other music, like other like students that like also had an interest in music, and you would just like, it was one of those events that Ashrita was like, I was running one of those events actually, because I was part of that student group.
And I was just there because I had some friends who liked to sing and they needed like an extra person. I never really sang on my own. So that was like one of the first times I was actually also just singing out loud, was that month or so.
So I saw them singing, and then I didn't approach them that night though, like on my own, like because I couldn't find any. I've been looking to like always play in bands, join a band. I didn't think about starting a band. I spent a lot of my college career just like looking to join a band because I wanted to just play. It's like, hey, I can kind of play drums, I play guitar, I play bass. But one thing I would do in my free time is just like just write instrumentals, write full like song instrumentals, or just cover songs and just build instrumentals of songs that I liked. And there was this one cover, Sloth Thrust. This band covered Baby One More Time, and I really liked their version of it. So
Yeah,
I was like,
really
damn,
good.
I want to make my own version, like kind of like inspired from that. So I had this like Baby One More Time like instrumental, just like rock instrumental, like on my computer. And at another later one of those student run events that I was helping run, I was also performed at. Ashrita was there with one of their friends. And I think I was like handing out little like glow bracelets to like the audience. Like that was like one of my duties.
Oh yeah, Music Under the Stars.
Yeah, like one of my duties was to like hand out these glow bracelets to like all the people that were there. And I saw Ashrita there with their friend, and I was like, oh, like in my head I was like, I remember them from like playing. They're singing like, I don't know, something. And I was like, do you want to? I just out of nowhere like Cole, because I didn't know them. So I was just like, Cole, like, hey, do you want to sing on a? I don't even know how. It was like mad weird.
I think like I feel like you came up to me because you were friends with Ankh, Because I remember when I wanted to start doing music stuff, it was like junior year, and I had just broken up with like my ex or something. And I realized that like I became really good friends with his friends. So then like
I played with Unk
with Unk, yeah. So then I would play with Unk and stuff, and then Unk would have like we would have like jam sessions, and it was nice hanging out with Unk because he was like one of the only other because like I was trying to do music stuff, but like the thing is at Hopkins, like most of the people that I could find were like guys, and then like it was fine, but like they would all just want to like get with me. Like they didn't actually like want to work on stuff. So it would just like piss me off. But like I knew that you were friends with Unk and you seemed nice. And so we did the cover together and it was like chill. Yeah.
Yeah, you came over to a stranger's room and
Yeah. Because I like literally didn't care at that point. I was just like, I just want to do something. Like, I don't know. I was writing a lot of songs right before that. I was writing a lot of songs right before we met. And I wasn't like, I wanted to do something with them, but I didn't know what. Like, I didn't have like an image in my head, but I was like building an album almost, which we never used any of those songs. But I was like, this would be a really cool idea. And then I remember we like started writing together after that. And then like you suggested, you're just like, yo, like, have you ever thought of like being in a band? And I was just like, by myself? Like, what are you talking? Are you asking me to be in a band? Like, I got mad at you. Because I was like, what do you mean? Have I ever thought of being in a band? Like, why would you ask me that? Like, I thought we write music. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, I remember that.
How did you feel about that, Paul?
Because
you'd think the two would go hand in hand, right? If you're writing music, maybe you're writing it with a view to performing it or recording it in some way. So was that a confusing response? And did she did they when they first came to write with you say, listen, motherfucker, are you chasing Taylor, or are we just going to make music? Was that outlined very early on? You're like, oh my God.
No, I was
not
just
at all.
sad.
I had no idea. If anything, I think Ashita thought I was gay.
Yeah, I did. That's why I hung out with you.
But so when I asked them, it was like, oh, would you ever consider like fronting a band? In my head at the time, I wasn't like thinking like I want to start a band with this person. I was just like, oh, because like at that point, like, because I knew a little bit about you. You like dance, so you had like some performance like background and stuff, even if it wasn't like in a rock band. But I was just like, oh, you could like front a band because like you sing. And in my head, I wasn't conceptualizing like a band with them. I was just
you just said it.
Yeah. And then I just
an idea.
carried on my own day. I was like, all right, I'll just drop that in the chat and I'll leave.
Yeah, I remember because we were walking on like St. Paul or something, and it was like after hanging out with Unk and Sanjay. And I remember like I fucking hated that. Because I remember like Unk like introduced me to Sanjay because Sanjay also sings, but then like I thought we were all gonna do music together, but he was just fucking wingmanning this guy.
Right.
And I was just like, I just want to do music. Like I literally just want to make music and perform it. And I was trying to do anything in my power to get there, but I didn't have like I didn't play guitar, and I all I played was piano, and like I don't know. I feel like I didn't have any idea how to do that stuff on my own. Like, I also didn't see myself doing that stuff on my own. So then when Paul and I started writing together, I feel like that gave me a lot more confidence because I was just like, I didn't even think I could do that because I would just write piano songs.
Yeah, like you brought one of your piano songs to me and I was like, hey, if you don't mind, do you mind if I just like remake this into a rock song?
Yeah, and I was like, this is exactly what I want. Yes, please.
And then I took one of their piano songs, just took the progression, laid that down on guitar, and then like added like a lead and drums to it. And I was just like, oh, sing over this. And then as our friend, that song, I think it exists. It's on Bandcamp, right?
No, I think that was taken down.
That's been tidied up, Paul. Yeah, it's been tidied up. This is a new age of Pinkshift rolling into the record in a few weeks' time. But
that song wasn't even. That's like pre-Sugar Crisis.
Yeah, that's like before Myron.
It's before mine was born.
Yeah.
Do you recall them falling asleep whilst you were tracking the drums in that situation, Paul, or was that the start?
I wasn't there.
Oh,
No,
they were
well,
even-
boom, that's perfect.
Paul just did that without me.
Right.
Because it's the same shit. We didn't know each other well enough, so I wouldn't sleep in his apartment. But yeah.
Yeah, step
I
by
can't
step.
imagine, like first time you coming over, just like curling up in the corner on the floor, just like I'm gonna take a nap right here.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Myron was right. It is really like a cat is part of a band. It's fabulous.
This isn't the first time today I've been compared to a cat.
Oh, what was the other time?
I would just lay down on the floor in a sunspot. You know, like when the window's kind of like open and there's only one spot and it's like there's sun there for a second. I sat in it.
And who called you a cat?
My boyfriend.
There we go.
Yeah.
There's some voice raining down from above, like, you are now a kitty cat.
Oh
Anyway.
my god.
Something like that. Okay. I mean, have you been cats for Halloween? And then you just sort of bring like a red lamp and then just have it walk around the cat searching for light? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. That sounds like a shit idea, actually. It actually sounds like a terrible idea because how would you power the light in the first place? And who would you have carry it? Because I don't think you'd want to carry it. You could probably get one of those headlamps. It doesn't matter. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Okay. One of my favorite lines, this record is outstanding. And I think from what the three of you have shared so far, the reason why I'm drawn to the band so much is for a multitude of reasons. I've spent most of my adult life trying to chill out and ground and figure out who I am. And that goes back to when I was 10 years old. And as a trigger warning, I won't go deep on it, but I was sexually abused by two guys in my elementary school that I don't know who they are. We never got to know who they were. They just broke in to the school one day in the bathroom, and then that was nearly it. And so I spent a lot of my time growing up in my teenage years going through all these different types of John, multiple personality. Am I a grunge guy? Am I an emo guy? Am I a punk guy? Am I all in between? If there's one thing I know, it's that I need some distorted guitars and some fucking attitude in my life for sure. And so I relate massively to your lyrical sharings and your storytelling, which is so powerful. But I also massively to pull your riffs are just dynamite. They are so thickly textured. The work that Will has done with you guys as well on this album is insane. And that's to be expected with Mr. Yip's style these last 20 years as well. And the Colossus bands that he's worked with. And then Myron, you can hear the beads of sweat hitting the toms and coming off of the snare and bouncing around in that room. Like, this is an all-encompassing album that says, we're fucking Pinkshift. But I think to go back to the start here and what you've shared, what drew me to you, again, authenticity, the way that, I don't say this horribly, but you've sort of stumbled together. You've not forced anything to become. And in the society now with the connection we've got, which is good and bad, I play not too much on the world of social media, but I've had to in my career due to how powerful it can be, but I'm very about it, to be honest with you. Everything now, the bullshit, you've not got any chance to hide the bullshit. So if you see something forced and created, it doesn't last very long. And I think what speaks so well to you, and Burn the Witch, track 9, one of my favorite tracks, you've got 2 feet, why don't you stand for fucking something? Like, this is, it's so simplistic, but at the same time, it's so powerful and reverberating. And so where do you even start? I think the one thing I would ask all three of you is, what are you most proud of when it comes to the creation of this record, Love Me Forever, that's out in just a couple of weeks?
We did that shit. That's what I'm proud of.
That was exactly what I thought. I was like, I'm proud of it. Like, I'm proud of the fact that we were able to get to that point where we spent 3 weeks in the studio and did 10-hour days. And we just made these songs that have been written. We like made them the best that they could be. And it sounds, yeah, I don't know. It's still like unfathomable to me because it's like the first like big, like fully professionally produced, like fully realized project that we put out. And I'm just super proud of the project itself and like us for being able to achieve that.
Yeah, it's all of our first albums. None of us had written an album before this. So writing an album itself was like the fact that it was just the three of us, and also like that whole album, like none of us could have done that on our own. If any of us would have tried to do something like this exact album on our own, it would sound completely different. So this is actually like us, which is really cool. It was highly collaborative.
One of the things, I think one of the things I'm most proud of is just like the growth of like our dynamic as a band. like interpersonally, not like musically, just like how much we've like grown as people, and just like us learning how to interact as bandmates and as friends, and just learning how to collaborate, because that's always like a an ever-changing process, you know, like learning more about like these people that you've like created a family with, and pretty much learning how to create the best things with them. And being granted, it was only 3 weeks, that's like a short amount of time, but being locked for 3 weeks with them while making this record was just like, all right, we like, you watch Myron play drums, you watch him record, you watch Ashrita like record their vocals, like, you know, just watching these people do the thing that they're best at, you know, just kind of like just gives you like an appreciation of like who you're with and like who you're creating with. And I was like, damn, this is fucking awesome.
Because it's quite a contrast to the EP and the songs prior to that, that you three were responsible for, from what I can fathom in researching yourselves, right? Moving around jam spaces, getting the gear you can to make it happen. And that's a massive way of learning, you know, perception versus reality, is that, okay, we go into this great big studio, but there might be someone in there that has no idea what they're doing. You've got all the toys, but how do you do it? What was the contrast between that experience? And then maybe there's things that you learned from Will, I imagine. I mean, well, I say that nonchalantly. But I don't want to be cheeky and speak for you. But if I was in that position, I'd be like, give me everything. I need to tell me everything. Tell me everything the last 20 years. What was the contrast between the way that you first went about as a band, producing and recording yourselves? Because to be honest with you as well, it didn't show the infancy of your start of careers and first EPs and first writing. Like the first EP is stupendous also. And it doesn't feel like it's necessarily made in the way that I've seen you describe it in other conversations and interviews.
I
mean, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. I mean, I'm just going to speak for myself in terms of like what I went into Will with. Was just that, I mean, recording the EP, we have like everything was done digitally in terms of just like my guitars, right? So like I didn't record through an amp. I just like plugged straight into my interface, guitar rigged. Like, people ask me like, yo, how'd you get that massive tone on like this song? I'm just like, man, it's just a preset on guitar rig. And we had the help of Baltimore's nightlife, Hansel Romero. They mixed and like mastered the stems that we gave them, and also helped record a couple of the later songs. But being that like pretty much just recording or like creating like instrumentals has just been through like my interface. When we went to Will's, I was like, Will, I don't know shit about guitar amps. I don't own a guitar amp. I don't like know how to dial in tone. I just want my things to sound like this. And he was just like, I was like, what like rock amp do I get? He's like, no, you don't want a rock amp. You want a metal amp. He's like, get this amp that Code Orange uses. And I'm like, oh, facts. Okay. So it's just like with him, with respect just to guitars, I don't know. I'm still learning so much about it. I was just like, tell me like what to get, like what to buy. Like, I don't know. And so at least going into, I've purely based, what I'm using on stage right now is purely based off what I've learned from Will. And I guess what I use in the studio.
Myron, did he have a massive room of alternative snares and drums? I mean, I see you primarily playing Tama.
Oh, yeah.
I play a Tama acrylic, but there must be an arsenal there that got you salivating a little bit, or no?
Yeah, I mean, so like there was a bunch of like snares and like a bunch of drum kits, but like we used like a Blackwood kit. It's funny because it's like the same, like the toms and like the kick. It was like the same kit that was. So we actually did like a demo. We did like a few demos with Will like in 2021, and I used that kit, the same kit, and then like we played a show. We were like touring with Mannequin Pussy last fall, and like unfortunately they got their like stuff stolen. But Will like came through and like let us use a Blackwood kit for like the Philly show and onwards. And then it was like the same exact kit. So this was like the third time I was using this exact kit in like a year, which was really cool. And I was using like a really cool brass Blackwood snare. I don't know exactly which one, but it was like relatively new. Like I think that like, cause it wasn't there like the last time I was there. I was using the aluminum snare when we were doing the demo. But yeah, it was like all Blackwood drums, and it sounded so good. Like I was like I don't know. I feel like that was like probably the best snare that I've ever like played, and it was insane. It's really cool because like I mean, I'm also learning about drums like in general, just like in terms of like my preferences and like what I want things to sound like. Um, and like I was using I was using a cluster crash on the right side, and I got that same exact crash to tour with because I loved it so much. Because like Will was like, I'm gonna put you on to this, and I was like, this sounds incredible. I love it so much. Um, but yeah, like it's crazy going into something like that and like seeing how many resources there are to like fully express ourselves and being able to like not have as many limitations. It's like really freeing, but then sometimes you get like choice paralysis. Luckily, we didn't have that. We didn't have too much time to like really like dwell on like every single thing because we only had 3 weeks. But I feel like if we had like, I guess like a normal amount of time or like, you know, like longer just to like write the album and like record everything, we'd be a lot more like picky and go back and forth between different things just because there's so much stuff that we can do to make things sound the way they do.
But that's what's so exciting about the future. It's just record one. You know, you can
Yeah.
go back and hang out there, and maybe next time you get a budget of 4 weeks and you could play around with snares for just a week, and Ashrita can sleep on the end of the bed or the couch, just like, bro, please hurry up. Let's find the snare sound for you.
I
Yeah.
did stay awake throughout drum recording.
Awesome. I was gonna come to you next in a sense of what's it like then being in such a more intimate setting and having that time to truly try and get the right take and balance out the viciousness and the storytelling that you're throwing at us as well.
I think like especially like working with Will, like he really does get, and I think Paul and Myron definitely, I speak for them too. Like he gets the best take out of you. And he'll be like, okay, like, do you want me to get the best take out of you? And we all, because of who we are, will be like, yes, like we don't care. Like you can beat us with a stick. Like, yes. And he metaphorically, like he beats us with a stick, like he gets it out of you. And like I think like going into like the really like angry songs like Get Out and all that stuff, like he took a lot of care and just like saying like, okay, like instead of saying this word like this, like say like emphasize this letter or like this syllable a little bit more. So like he took a lot of care to make sure that that it sounded right, which I appreciate because that's something like those are things that I just wouldn't think of because lyrically like I had it all already, but the way like cadences and the way that things roll off your tongue, I think, and the way that they sound specifically, like he'd be like, like, what if you did something like da na 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 na? And I was like, okay, you're right. And so like I would write the words. So like it was cool in that way, to work with him. I think it was working. So like when we were doing the EP and we were working with Hansel, Hansel's like a vocalist. So working with them, like they taught me a lot of really like of a lot of like technique and like warm-ups and stuff that I never knew before. So like taking all of that stuff that Hansel taught me, and applying it to being in the studio, because we toured once, I think, before this album. So like singing experience wise, I didn't have like that much endurance. But like taking that into the studio and like strategically placing like recording and stuff of songs, and like I don't know, like it was very like well done, and like I think Will had everything under control even when we felt really chaotic. We were just like, oh, like I don't know if this is gonna like happen, I don't know if this is gonna like be done. He's just like, it's okay, we'll do this today, and then we'll do this tomorrow, and like it'll be good.
He was so chill about it.
Yeah, he's so chill about it. I mean, like obviously he's done this like 1,000 times. I think a lot of the time like his experience and the fact that he's been doing this for like 20 something years, like that kind of like went over my head. I just really liked working with him. And like I'm also like I'm really into grunge and stuff, and like so is he, and so like I think that made me feel really comfortable. And I think like he really just like understood us on like this like immigrant kid level of like how to get like into our heads and like get us to like do the best that we can. So yeah, that was like one thing. There's like, especially after we did the demos with him in like 2021, like a year, 2 years, a year ago, a year and a half ago. Um, After that, we were just like, yeah, I can't like imagine working with anyone else. And that was like before the, so we got a label and like, we're just like, and they're just like, who do you want to work with? We're like, well, we want to work with Will. So whatever is involved in making that happen. Will wants to work with us and we want to work with Will. It was just kind of like this like magnet attraction. Like he DM'd us like when Therapist came out. Like we had only 2 songs out and he like DM'd us on Instagram and he was like into it. So I feel like with our relationship with Will, it's really just been like magnets. Like I think it's been like really good for all of us. We all have like a lot of fun together.
It resonated with him pretty quick. That sharing inspires multiple questions, which is, where do we go first with that? I mean, the first thing I want to note is that I spoke to Dan of the Wonder Years a couple of weeks back, and I learned something that is becoming a new fad, it seems, in that vocal coaches are saying to singers that have been indoors for the last few years, why don't you get a running machine or a cycling machine or whatever they're called?
Yeah.
Right. Have you heard of this? And get it up to like 20 miles per hour and sing your songs. Have you heard of that already? Just to build that strength? It's ridiculous.
I saw a video of like Miley Cyrus singing Bikini Kill or something.
Right.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember she was like on a treadmill. I know that like leading up to the Mannequin Pussy tour, I didn't have a treadmill. I ran outside and like
right,
I had a playlist. And I wouldn't run and sing, but I would like sprint to like a song and then I'd have like a 1-minute break where I'd walk and then I'd sprint to a song again. That was already like a lot. So yeah, I don't know. I guess like I think my endurance wise, like I really just built it up over playing shows on tour.
That really does it.
Yeah, that really
do
does it. There's nothing quite like the real thing.
Especially when you're going on tour with a band like Pup, and they're friends of mine, and I've known them for a decade now, and they're such wonderful souls. I remember the first time I saw them in Victoria here at the Capitol Ballroom where you played, that used to be called Sugar Nightclub, and it was just captivating, just unadulterated. This is us. We don't need to impress you. We're impressing ourselves, having the time of our lives, and we're going to destroy your venue. You've got no option. And so when they announced you in support, I was like, yes, this is the perfect way for you to get a look into how Canadians go. And at the same time, what did you take from those guys? Because they've been making music together. There's that contrast between, these are guys that grew up together. They've gone through multiple different bands. And now they know, focused in their late 20s and early 30s, this is what we want to do. You've had that more coming together of just, Johns Hopkins, I want to try something. Oh, who's this guy in this room? And then boom, and no, I don't want to do it, man. I don't read flyers, okay? And then, okay, now maybe a few weeks later, here he is involved. So what did you soak up from those guys? How did that come to be? Did they DM you as well, like Will style, or what?
No, I think we heard about that through like agents and stuff. Like our booking agent was like, sat us down during the Mannequin Pussy tour actually, and they were like, listen, this is an offer. And we're like, whoa, that's crazy. But it was really inspiring to be around them. I mean, like, because they're like adults doing this, and then Mannequin Pussy is too, but it's just like, to see that again and to see that on like the scale that they're doing it was like, and like how not only that, but like they're also just like so genuine and they're very open and they're so nice.
They're so nice. Oh my God. Like they're pretty much the kind of people that are like, what's ours is yours. Straight up. They're just, like say like use our gear, use our whatever. Just kind of like, I don't know. I've only really met guitarists that are just like, this is my gear, don't fuck with my knobs.
Yeah.
Like, and then here's like, I think that during one song, like Stefan, like one of my strings broke, so he just like grabbed like one of the guitars. I'm just like, yo, that's like one of your really nice guitars. And he's like, yeah, man, just like fucking tune it, do whatever you got to do to it. I'm just like, I like stood still because I was like, I cannot get a fucking piece of dust on this guitar. I don't know. They're very, very, very comforting. It's like kind of like the kind of, if we ever get to that level, I'm just like, these are the kind of musicians that I want to be to other people, that like people feel very comfortable and people feel very loved in the space that like we've created.
Yeah, like early in the tour, Zach like came up to me and was like, "Hey, if anything happens with your kit, just reach behind and grab whatever you need from his kit." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" Because like again, I'm like used to like, like sure, like people share shells, but like breakables, like bring your own. But he was like, "Yeah, like if you need like a cymbal, like take it, or like if you need to use my snare, just take it." I'm just
That's
like,
insane.
It is. I've had so many other drummers steal my shit after shows. Like, oh, I've just had a few beers. I thought those were my cymbals that cost $2,000. No, 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 no. I said you could use them. I didn't say literally walk home with them and then come back to watch our set and I've got no fucking drums to play. And that was the same for me. What blew me away when I first met them was that they were opening up for Colorado, who are on Royal Mountain Records and signed them all those years ago, and wonderful guys that I've known, been fortunate to know for a long time, just honestly due to proxy of being in the radio industry. And that's another, well, not to throw a negative point in, but there's a lot of false attitude in the industry. And so as I grew up and realized, like, I love what I'm doing and I actually back myself at this, but I don't want to be a part of this false relationship bullshit anymore. When I speak about Colorado and I speak about Pup and some of the other bands that I may or may not have mentioned during this chat, it's because I feel they're actually friends. Like, I feel like we actually connect on a human-to-human level, not seeking something from the other, but generating excitement and journeys together and moments together. And so when I first walked backstage at that show and I said, guys, who the fuck, what the hell? Like, Menno said you guys were going to be exciting and scintillating, but this is ridiculous. And one of the first things that Steve said to me was, well, why don't you come to Seattle with us? And so literally within 2 days, I got a Clipper ferry down Seattle because they said they were going to go and play a live performance at KEXP. And that was on my bucket list of like, oh my God, like I would love to be, just to smell the air in that sweat-ridden little room, just to be in that space that to me was just so magical and historical. And then for them to say, just come and be our roadie for 2 days and come and see what Seattle's like. Because I've never been to America at that point. Well, never been to Seattle at that point. And that's what really blew me away. And then in going on that little 3-day tour with them in and around that area, seeing that the people that they're staying with are just fans, that they felt a connection with and gone, I trust you until you show me otherwise. Thanks. I'll sleep on your couch and your floor. And it's just, I feel that that's such a refreshing mindset in this day and age where there's so much distrust and appearances decide what we're going to do or not going to do instead. And it's just, that's why they've got to where they are. Authenticity again, the main word with it. So before we go down a love hole of Pup, Paul, I just wanted to check that you weren't eating more salad. Is that why your camera disappeared?
I am currently in transit
Oh
for
my
a
God.
small errand I'm running for my mother. So I apologize.
No, what did I
you
say?
said no apologies.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, take it back. My bad.
No apologies needed. If
I
He said
insist.
my bad.
I insist.
Before you came in, Paul had been very polite and saying, I'm sorry the camera's not on. I'm eating a Greek or Caesar salad. And I said, there's no apologies necessary because they're not. Like, you don't need to apologize for living your life and giving me more time than you'd agreed to and being late for your errand and now getting in the car and still connecting to do it. That's really fucking awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, cognizant of that, I don't want to hold up the day too much more. And I need to get to the book fair because Harley wants to buy a chocolate-smelling calculator that he saved up for.
That's great.
I was like last night, is it actually fucking chocolate? Or is it like, he's like, no, it smells like chocolate. I'm going to do math so much better. I'm like, yeah, sure, great. We'll support you with that. Absolutely. Ashrita, in a breath, I know that you've said wasn't part of this cycle, wasn't part of this process, but it had to be put in there. I cried when I watched that and the power of that one take shot from 856. That I'm so glad that you put that on the record, because what I described when I played it on the show to the 20 people that listened to me very kindly at that moment was that this is when I listen to music and I fucking tear it apart 30, 40, 50, 60 times in different emotions, in different settings, at different time of the day, just to see how it will hit me in all these different moments and impact me and get my brain going. And I dissect the shit out of everything. But where my mind went with that, firstly, was this is breathtaking. Secondly, I can picture that in a live setting, and I can picture further that the energy and community that you three have curated is going to be silent. I don't know if that's happened or not, but for me, my mind went, they're going to be silent, and it's going to emphasize every other fucking message tenfold. And I think sometimes people look at music and go, oh, this isn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be thrash, thrash, thrash. And they don't necessarily understand that you can have that ebb and flow that generates even more power for where the band is standing from and performing from. In a Breath is to me, it's a masterpiece. It's where you have said, I am not just a punk rock singer who's got a lot of emotions that I hope you're fucking picking up in my lyrical content. It's where you said, I am the complete performer. Like, you three, to me, at the start of your careers, have produced a world-class fucking debut record. And that song, just to repeat my point for a third time, exemplifies and solidifies everything that you three have tried to generate in the production and the heart of this record. It is incredible.
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
damn, that's too nice.
That's really sweet.
But it's deserved. You know, I know, and I've said this to my friends whose hoodie I'm wearing now in Spirit Box, that they were massive in inspiring me to step away from the mainstream and do this. And I cry. I'm not ashamed to say I cry. I mean, I've been diagnosed bipolar for half my life, but I've cried a lot more in the last few years because I yearn to still be on stage, and I get such a kick out of performing and doing that. And so when I watch people that I genuinely feel like this is it, I just start bawling. I'm like, this is just so fucking powerful. I mean, what's it been like in sharing this song with the world? What's the feedback been so far? And how do Myron and Paul, when this was first brought, and we'll get to you guys after maybe Ashrita addresses it, but how did it make you feel in the decision process and going, this has got to be put in? But maybe to you first, Ashrita.
Yeah. Like, so when we released it, I think this song was again, like in that, you know, we were talking about like when we were first meeting up and all that stuff, and I was only writing like piano songs and all that, and like I never really saw much potential in them to really go anywhere, but I just wrote them and I was just writing songs like you know. So this is kind of like part of that batch in a breath, but I feel like it was the one song that I kept listening to like for years. And so I wanted it to be, once, you know, we had Pinkshift, and like obviously like my life was like so different, and my life is so different now, and I still wanted this song to be out, and the best way to have it out was to have Pinkshift put it out. But at the same time, this song is like so like delicate, you know. It's very much like, I don't think I could have put this out 4 years ago, just because it is so much of myself. And when we were like putting it on the album, I was like, okay, cool, this is like a good album song. And then, you know, like we were talking like with our management and stuff like that, and like I love them to death, and they were like, you know, this should be a single, like this is a really good different song. And I was like, okay, we can do this as a single. But I knew that it was gonna feel really, really weird when it came out, and it did. And I think no matter how much people loved it, and no matter how much support we got for it, which we did, we really only got like nice words. I mean, I think most people, their reaction is similar to yours, which I mean, I'm thankful for. But I think it just, there was this part of me that I was like, oh my God, like I'm just out there now. Like, I think every time we write a song, every time I write lyrics for a song, anything like that, like a lot of it is very like compulsive. I don't think, like, people will be like, oh, like, why'd you decide to write about this? Why'd you decide to write about that? But like, I simply write to cope, and like not, I don't know, explode, not do like worse things. Like, it is actually one of my coping mechanisms, you know, when I'm like not doing well. So like this song was really like a big one where I was just like, okay, like I want to stay alive, you know, in the moment when it was written. And the fact that it was out, it was like so many things happening in my head at once. Like, I was happy that people were listening to it and that people were connecting to it, but I was also just like, every time we write a song, I'm like, okay, like right now it's mine, you know, right now it's our song, like right now it's my song. And as soon as we share it, it's not going to be my song anymore. It's going to be somebody else's song too. And like, that's not a bad thing. Like, I love that. Like, I love the privilege to have our music be part of somebody else's life in a meaningful way that's completely separated from who I am, just like what the song is. Like, that's really amazing. But I think with that song specifically, it was just like, okay, this song belongs to other people now. This belongs to the world now. And I think that was like really hard because I feel like that's the song that I listened to when I was like, I don't know, when I was just like quiet by myself and I just needed to calm down. And it was like that song. So now it's like, it's everybody else's, which I mean, honestly, since it's come out, it hasn't been that long since it's come out. It's only been a couple weeks. I'm like just now like starting to feel like okay, like in general. But yeah, it's definitely been weird having it out, but I'm glad that it's out. In the end, like I am glad that it's out because I feel like people could use it in the same way that I used it to like to cope or to feel or to like, you know, just to like remind myself that I'm human and these things happen and like that's just part of life. I think that's what a lot of what that song specifically was to me. So I'm happy. I feel like people are connecting to it in that way. And I don't really care how people interpret it or how they don't interpret it. Is if they take it into their lives, it's their song now. And I'm happy about that. I am happy about that. But it is hard.
Well, then, so what? In contrast to the other songs, then why was it? Because this one was from all those years ago, or was it because it was more personal and stripped back in the arrangement? Why has this been more difficult? Because in other songs you've sung about just as powerful of topics, but it's not as naked to just being you and piano.
I think that is one of the things. Like, I mean, we've never really put out anything that just one of us worked on. So I know like this song, I know when it was coming out, I was like, all right, if people don't like it, they don't like me. Like it's just me. I don't know. Like the concept of like we are very much a collective. Like Pinkshift is like a group. So it was just so different, I guess, in that sense, where it's like, all right, like this is really just even especially the video, it's just like people know that this is just me. Like I think that's really nerve-wracking. Also, the song was written so long ago and it was written during like I think I've written about other topics and like I've written about the same kind of stuff in different ways, but I think this is one song that took me years to understand what it was about. Like, you know, it's like you write it and then like for me it's like a lot of times like lyrics they come out and sometimes like whole songs like will come out, you know, like with the words and because I sometimes have trouble expressing what I'm trying to say. So this song just like came out and it made so much sense and I had no idea why for like the longest time. And I think I was only okay with putting it out once I understood where it came from, like within me, like where this was for me, why I, you know, I wrote this and like, I think that's one of the things. It's like, it's one of the songs that it happened, like writing it happened in an hour and it stuck with me for 4 years. So yeah, I don't think there's any other song to me like in my life that's like that.
What that inspires within me is that I keep a little journal of all positive things that happen. Now I time them, I date them, I state who's in the room or area and vicinity. And so when I'm in the complete doldrums and shit of my mind, I can try and pull myself out of the sludge by going back in. And because my mind recreates that scene, like a song might create a scene for me as well in different settings, to go back to my comment 10 minutes ago about I'll go over songs 30, 40, 50, 60 times. Then I can try and drag myself back up by being reminded of that. And that is almost like past self to current self. Don't forget the growth in between. You can get through this moment. You wrote yourself a letter 4 years ago, but you didn't know when you were going to open it. And 4 years later, it opens and it shows you the growth that you've been through. It determines that strength that you've built since you first released it. And then is giving you new lessons of growth. And how do you feel about fucking people now having a little taste of it too? I think that is a really magical and special moment. That's why it stands out so much. That's to what you've just spoken to. That's what that gets my mind thinking. And that in itself, like you said, you're just proud of making this fucking record half an hour ago. Well, damn right you should be. Because that was a letter you wrote yourself 4 years back and look at you now. And where will you be in 4 years more? That's really exciting, I think.
Yeah, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. That's kind of like what it is. It really is. Like, you know, I feel like I don't know, like you write, oh, Paul's gone.
That's okay.
As
He'll
like, you know,
come back.
you write words and And for me, like sometimes I just don't know what they mean until a little bit later. It's like writing yourself a letter to open later, but you'll listen to it a bunch and you won't understand it until something happens in your life where you're just like, okay, I know why I felt like that. And like, I'm feeling like that again. And like, you know, just like being able to have some kind of like emotional control and being able to like really like objectively see the things that, you know, the emotions that I go through, and just being able to be present and all that, and like other people's like the people in my life being able to be present in their lives. And like, I think, I don't know, like writing these songs is what helps me with that. So this song was in particular like a really big moment for me. Yeah.
And before I get Myron and Paul's take on it as well, I've got to speak about Mr. 856 and you reaching out and saying, we want to do this video. Was that because of the shots that he got of you at shows before, or were you on the Patreon, or were you aware of the incredible work that he's done for all these years for bands? How did that come to be? Because he wrote very passionately on Instagram about how he wanted to make sure this was captured in the right way, as simplistically and as authentically as possible, that just lets your heart shine out.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think his page, Paul specifically was a huge fan of his videos just like for a long time, like growing up pretty much, right? Like Knocked Loose and like all those bands, like so we knew of 856. And so I think the first moment when we thought when like I guess he entered our lives for the first time was when we were on the Mannequin Pussy tour. He DM'd us because he was going to be filming Mannequin Pussy set in Philly, and he was like, well, I can just film you guys too. And we were like, oh my god, what?
Yeah, it's incredible
and
footage.
so we were like, all right, this is like our first tour ever, and we were just like, oh my god, like we were really like, I don't know, it was really nerve-wracking. But that's when we first like met him. And then like for me, like specifically, I just like don't really know that many other like Desi, like South Asian people in this world. Like not in this world, but like in this like punk, like rock world. So it was really cool to meet him. And then like I think like ever since then we were just like, I think a lot of people discovered us from him filming us, which is a big thing too. And I think when we were thinking about how we wanted to do a video for this song, I was like so apprehensive. I was apprehensive to a lot of things. I was like very specific and very like detail oriented when it came to this release. But when it came to a video for this song, I was just like, I'm not doing a fucking music video. Yeah. Like I'm not doing that. Like we're not doing that. And so we're like, oh, what about a live performance video? Oh, what about Sunny? Because live performance, like he's the first thing that pops up in our head. And so we like reached out to him about it, and like he doesn't do music videos, but he does do live performance. And I think that like when we were talking, I was like, like I trust your vision completely. Like just he's so good at this, even though he hadn't done anything like this specifically. I was just like, it like, if you care about it and you care about us already, like that's really cool. Like I trust your vision. And so he came in with this like this huge, like Myron was there, this huge piece of equipment, and it rotates the camera like 360 degrees at a fixed rate around a point, and the point was me. And like it was really, really cool. It felt like it was an honor. Like I was like, oh my god, like this is so cool. And he was excited about it. And I think that was the biggest thing, is that like we were excited about it. I don't think I would want anybody working on anything that we do who wasn't like as excited about it as we are. But I feel like he really like he thought about it, and he said, I have a vision for this. And we're just like, all right. I for some reason I just like completely trusted whatever his vision was. I don't know, maybe because he's famous at this point.
Well, you just went with your gut. You went with your gut instinct from what you've seen so far. It doesn't. Sometimes we look for justifying next steps and moves and over analyzing what we might have said, like whether that's Paul right at the start of this, in talking about when he first approached you and saying, "Oh, do you want to sing in a band?" And you're like, "What the hell?" Like sometimes we don't need to analyze things that just come out because they come out for a reason. That, like with the letter to yourself from 4 years back, you maybe don't click into until many months later, or maybe never at all. But you just got to go with your gut until someone proves you otherwise. That's the way I like to go about business. But we're into the home stretch here because you've given me 40 minutes beyond what I'd agree with Looters, and that's extremely kind of you all. Myron, what do you even, what words will you find that have been inspired the last 10 minutes of listening? Where'd you start with that? All that we've covered.
I mean, so like first of all, I was like super, like I was like really excited when like the whole when In the Breath was like Ashritha brought it up to like be on the album, because it just like made so much sense. I'm like super proud for them for being able to actually like share that. And I think so we like put out 4 singles like before this album, and I really like where like In a Breath was placed in terms of like being the last one before like the actual album drop, because like I think we're like going back and forth at one point. I think like either Burn the Witch or Cherry was going to be a single, and then I'm like really glad that this like completely changes the pace and completely like changes people's expectations of like what the album is. Cause like, I know that like after like the first 3 songs, if we were to put out like, I don't know, like just like another fast song, just like from like a large like point of view, or like if people weren't really paying attention, they would be like, all right, I've already heard this album, you know, like I've already heard what this album is about. I already know what this, but then like completely like flipping the switch and then like having this like beautiful like piano ballad be what's left before people are actually exposed like to the rest of the project. I think that's, I don't know. I personally like really think that's like, it's really cool. I'm excited. A lot of people were really, they were, I think it kind of changed their perception of the band in a way, you know? And I think that's also our goal with the album, is to like really show people that, hey, we're not in this one box. We're not one sound over and over and over again. You know, we have this range that like we are actively exploring and actively expanding on. So essentially like really solidifying our identity in this space. And I think that In a Breath like really pushed that like perfectly and like its placement. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. It's sick.
Yeah, I think for me, it took you from being, in my mind, a really galvanizing and exciting band in the infancy of your journey that hopefully will last many years. And then very quickly was just a rubber stamp of like, okay, these are world-class musicians now. Like this is willing to take that risk, and accompanied with the record that I've had access to, thankfully, thank you rather to Looters once again. Like it just said, like the training wheels are off, guys, and they've been hucked over a hedge, and you're not going to find them again. And it's just so exciting to see where the future is going to go. Paul, I don't want to get you in trouble with driving and speaking or anything, but have you got anything you'd like to? I've only got like 3 more minutes left. The last 10, 15 minutes here. What's in your mind that you can safely converse?
I'm not driving right now, so
okay, sweet.
I'm chilling.
You're very up close and personal. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, no. I think Ashritha bringing In a Breath up to Myron and I, like, it didn't sink in the moment, but like after the fact, even after it was released, I think it kind of sunk into me that, wow, like the 3 of us, me, Myron, and Ashritha, have created a space just within ourselves that Ashritha feels really comfortable in saying like, hey, yo, I want to show you all this song and I want to release it. And like, just kind of like going through them feeling safe enough with just the 2 of us and just toying that idea showed me that like, okay, I'm really happy with the 3 of us, like the kind of space that we got together right now, because it shows that me or Myron can also kind of do something similar, and just there's no like hesitancy to be like, hey, like I kind of want to grow as a musician or just as a person. And damn, yeah, I mean, like, just knowing Ashrita for like the past like 4 years, like seeing them grow, seeing them be from someone like, oh, I've never sang, I don't sing really like in front of people, to like fast forward 4 years later, they have a live take of them in like one of their most vulnerable like states, is just like, it's been a privilege just being able to watch that and being able to grow with them as a person and with Myron as a person, just as we all be like, damn, like that's, I mean, have not been in, I think I'm the only one in Pinkshift that has like been with previous, have been in like other groups, other bands. And just like, this one's definitely a very unique one. And I don't know, it's just wild. I'm very proud of them for releasing the song and going through all that emotional turmoil that came with it. But also I'm just really proud of us that was like, damn, okay, we as people, the three of us, really have each other's backs, and it feels very, very nice. I didn't see, I look like this. I didn't.
That's so funny.
I didn't have my camera like looking at myself, but yeah, no, I think In a Breath was really huge for Ashrita and just like for the band as a whole, not just because like of the song itself, but just like as what it means for us as just growth wise.
Yes.
Well
you broke
said.
up for a second there, but yeah.
I feel like I wish I had like a prop steering wheel so that we could all look the same and support you in your Zoom session right now, Paul. We appreciate that. I don't write down much when I prepare for interviews, because I just want to let the moment and the energy guide me. But the one thing that I did write down was, are you aware of the fact that someone at the Stub Show in Austin recorded your show on a Nintendo DS? Have they contacted you yet?
Yeah.
No. But that was so cool.
I love that.
No, there's like one person who put up like our full set from Stubbs in Austin, and we saw the DS like come up in the crowd in that video, because we watch any live video of us because we're very self-critical. But yeah, we saw the DS fly up and we were like, oh my God. It was really good.
They were loving it.
No, they haven't contacted us. If you recorded our set on a 3DS, please contact us on any socials.
Pinkshiftmd@gmail.
Yeah.
Email pinkshiftmd@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Okay, well, that was my only thing that I wrote down to note. Did you get the chocolate calculator? I'm still speaking with them. Can I see it? We're not streaming or anything. If you don't mind these three seeing you can bring it over. Let's see it. Let's go to check the calculator quick. I got to smell it. Oh, you've not even unwrapped it yet. This is like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. This is incredible. That's a calculator? Oh my God. That is cool. Let me show you guys. Little chocolate calculator.
It looks like a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That is so...
Is it real chocolate?
It's a calculator.
It smells like it.
I'm so sorry. I'm slow.
That's all right, Paul. Don't worry. You didn't think this chat was going to go on so long that you'd be getting groceries or whatever you're doing, still talking to me. That's sweet. Well, I'm nearly finished with these guys who've been wonderful, but I'll come and check out what other book fair stuff we got. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. What is that? Some Halloween creepy crawlies on the staircase? Are they glow in the dark? Whoa. What King? Oh, it's a King Cobra book. King Cobra. Lovely. Look at that. It's just like a cobra skeleton on it. Oh, right.
That is cool.
Wait, I feel like 8-year-old me would go feral for that.
I know.
book.
I would have gone the same. I was just thinking that. I would have gone the same exact thing.
They're saying they would have got the same thing. Yeah. Okay, Ruler of the Snakes. Okay, this is what we'll end with, guys. We'll learn a little bit about... We've learned so much about you three, and I appreciate your time tenfold, and I hope that it'll happen again in the future, but we're going to learn about right now Ruler of Snakes, the fearsome King Cobra. I don't know if I should add some dramatic sort of reverb to this or not. Or if I just go like...
The King Cobra is the longest and largest venomous snake in the world.
I don't know if that's too extreme.
Oh my God.
These creatures are called King Cobras because they kill and eat other snakes. including other cobras.
Okay, this is why I want a vocal pedal.
Yes, you should definitely get a vocal pedal. Right? Yeah. Sometimes I do find that the demon voice gets a bit muddied in the middle end and can be a bit lost, but I'll give you an example of it.
It's hello. Okay.
Tell you what, I can't read half of these words. It's what are you holding up now? Game on. Let's look at this quick. What's this? We're getting a right rundown of Harley's.
Oh, I love this hall.
Oh, is this a little
At that hall.
Oh, this is a little lock lock diary.
Oh,
Game on. We were
Oh,
just
I
talking
have one
about
of
a
those.
Nintendo 3DS. This is a PlayStation, I'm going to guess 4 controller that we don't have in this house, and I think I'm presuming correctly. There we go.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, I'm going to do one more fact about cobras and let these three get on with their day, for goodness sake. Let's skip randomly to... Oh, okay, the Russell Viper. Okay, we'll do this one in the demon.
Okay. Russell's Viper. This snake and its deadly bite makes them another member of the Big Four group. Russell's Viper is one of the most common venomous snakes in Southeast Asia. Before striking, the snake moves in a series of loops, raises part of its body off the ground, and lets out a loud hiss.
Thank you, Harley. Okay, all right.
Nice.
Right, okay. Before this turns into some sort of YouTube kids channel, which is fine by me, I just want to make sure that I let you guys just, I don't know, what is it now? 12, 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon. Okay, last question. It's been a hell of a journey so far. Is there a bucket list in your minds, or you're just going to go with the flow? We're not going to worry about that. I know that you were asked by Rock Sound, who would you like to team up with, whether it's Nova Twins, whether it's My Chemical Romance, etc. But do you even consider those things until they're put to you? Or do you have some dreams and aspirations that you think maybe now can be achieved?
Well, first and foremost, I think a collective bucket list is for this to be sustainable and to live off of it. You know, before we think about any like collabs or dream tours, it's just like, all right, this is our main source of income. You know,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. That's very
Yeah.
well said, Myron.
Yeah.
We're practical people.
Yeah. But then like following that, because for me it just makes so much sense. I really want to tour with Turnstile.
Yes.
Seeing how much love like they're getting at every single one of their shows, and like seeing how amazing and like this, just seeing the world that they've built and the culture that they've built, I really want to like play shows with them, and I think it would be so good and like so amazing, and it just makes sense. But that's one of the big things for me right now.
Yeah.
I feel, I don't want to say that like I don't have any like big dreams for this band, because that's not true, but it's still, even after going on a couple tours and recording this album, I'm like, this is more than I thought I was ever gonna do, like as a musician. And just like, you know, like after going to school and just thinking like I would just have this whole other life path kind of planned out and just ready to go. I'm just incredibly grateful that I have had the opportunity to like, you know, play music with Ashritha and Myron and create this band. Just like, damn, I'm just like what else? Like what else there to, what else do you want? This is incredible. It's already been an incredible opportunity that I will cherish. Like if it ended like tomorrow, I'd be like, shit, that's wild.
That's true. It's been a wild year. I don't know if I have any bucket list stuff. I feel like I'm kind of on the same wavelength as Paul. I think I'm just kind of like, the biggest thing I can imagine us doing is normally surpassed within a month or so. So I just want us to do our best. I want to be able to live off of it. That would be really great. Not have to worry about like housing and food. So like, I think that would just be amazing. And I think we're getting there. And that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like the things that I have on our bucket list are already happening. And I'm really thankful for that. Yeah, like, I don't know. literally like we were still absorbing the fact that we were on tour in the first place, on our first tour ever with Mannequin Pussy, and we got the offer to tour with Pup, and we were like, that was a dream, but I didn't even really think, like, I couldn't take 5 minutes to slow down and like set out our goals, because like that already just happened. Same thing, like we signed to the label like January, like 2 months after that tour, after our first tour. We went to the UK like right after the Pup tour, like literally like we had 2 weeks just at home after a 6-week or after a 7-week tour. Like we had 2 weeks and then we were just like in the UK, and then we were nominated for an award at the Heavy Music Awards. I think I was just like, I don't know, this stuff just happened, and I'm just like, I guess this was like on my bucket list, but I didn't even have time to make a bucket list. Like I didn't think that any of this would happen. So it's just happening, and now we're going on our headline tour, and I feel like that's my bucket list right now, is like I really want to go on our headline tour, but it's gonna happen. But I can't think ahead of that. Like it's in 2 weeks. We're gonna go on a tour, and it's just gonna be Pinkshift shows. I mean, with our friends like Jigsaw Youth and Yasmin. And we're super excited about that, but it's gonna be like our headlining shows across America, and that was on my bucket list, and now it's already happening, and I'm just like, fuck, I don't know what's next for my bucket list because I haven't absorbed this one yet.
Well, I think what the three of you have just shared speaks exactly to why you find yourselves in these positions, because you're not forcing anything, which I mentioned like an hour ago. It's just you living day to day, being the best you can, growing with each experience. And with Myron, I love that you said Turnstile, because that is an audience, that is a community that is very seldom seen. That kind of care, that kind of respect, that kind of power. And absolutely, if Pink, I don't know if you've got a nickname for pink shifters or shifty pinkers or what you've got. Sorry, pardon me. That's the one thing I didn't research. But you know, I can see, and don't take any of those because they're bad unless you like them, and in which case have them and they're yours. And
I think they called themselves shifties at some point.
Shifties,
like Swifties,
I like that.
Like Pinkshift.
Okay, the shifties. But that can be cultivated, and the start of it will be on this tour, because it will be the energy that you three put out will be received by.
Somebody got so excited they hit stop record, and now there's going to be an awkward blur. Where did this guy come from? Blur. Back to the conversation.
There we go. The energy that you put out will be received by the audience, and through time that will be cultivated. Like this is a different kind of show. It's still going to be very demanding. You're still going to be on there saying, hey, we're Pinkshift and we're here. You want to come a bit closer? We're going to move a lot. Like that's pretty much how every set starts. Like, don't be afraid to come up, but we're going to throw down. Anyway, this has been an hour and 20 minutes. And I am so thankful for that. I could keep going the whole day. But I want to go and see what Harley's got from the book, from the book club. I was going to say the bookstore. And you guys need to just go and keep existing and being awesome and resting in these little pockets of space that you get. But it was just such a thrill to finally meet you three. I am so excited for what you're all going to continue doing. And you already know how I feel. I've spent the last hour waxing lyrical about you. I don't want to repeat it and keep going round and round and round, but I am so galvanized by what you do. This is one of the best, whether you want to call it, I know that you consider yourselves mainly a punk band. We're a rock band, but this is one of the best punk rock records of the year by a long shot, and sits right up there, Myron, with Turnstile and Glow On. To me, it is just as good. It is just as special, and you will get that chance one day, because they will click into Brendan and Co. will see the energy that you put out, and that door's going to open. It's going to come. So just keep being you three, because it's fucking awesome to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and for your kindness. This was really great.
That's it.
John.
Please consider checking out whatwasthatradio.com. And that's all I'll say, cheekily. But yeah, go and have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great one. It was great meeting you.
It was great meeting you.
Bye for now.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. That was so flipping awesome. Thank you for your time, especially if you've watched it the whole way through to the end here. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it the whole way through, I have a feeling you're going to enjoy more of my conversations, more of the radio station I've built, and more of the Arts Academy, and maybe the Patreon as well. Everything you need to know is at whatwasthatradio.com and is linked below or attached to wherever on earth you consume this. Thank you again for your time. And whatever, I'm so excited still. And whatever you're doing with the rest of your day, and as always, please look after yourself. And I hope there's some fun and smiles involved in the rest of it too, because we've got to cherish that positive. For now, thanks again for your time. And cheerio.